Hey everybody, it's Integrative Bodywork for the Manual Therapist.
That's Jonathan.
That's
Alex.
Alex.
I'm Alex.
We have a pretty big announcement, and no, it's not that I have been practicing my indoor voice for you all. We wanted to announce the launching of our second edition of Integrative Bodywork for the Manual Therapist, and we're going to come back to this in a moment. And as we sort of started thinking about making this announcement, literally 5 minutes before we set up the cameras and started this podcast, I think we sort of realized we had a lot more to say and felt like we needed to.
I mean, just laying out, we actually found one of our original manuscripts from 2008 or 9 or 10, something. I think, and as we laid out all the different pieces and elements of things, of where we've been, where we are, where we're headed.
Yeah.
We just started talking about it. It just seemed like natural. Like we should clip on the camera and record this and just tell people a little bit more about why we are here at the second edition and what this is all about. Because it started back in 2007.
It was printed in somebody's basement illegally, I believe, deep on the southeast side of Portland. But we're not going to talk about that since it is our last copy.
But this, I mean, we started writing this back in 2007, and I think it was probably 9 or 10 before we had this done as a thing that could be printed as a whole. Got it on Amazon, updated cover, some expanded techniques, this kind of stuff. We got that in 2011.
Right? That's what I think.
And then we started really going to teaching classes. We're originally teaching a lot of the stretching, exercising type stuff that was in this book.
Right.
We really created it as a way, as like a gap in the instructional curriculum for massage students, especially in Oregon, because we can do gymnastics.
Right.
There aren't a lot of states that allow that. So there's just not a lot of instructional books for movement-oriented techniques.
Right.
So we created this to fill that gap. Yeah. Started teaching continuing education workshops off of it, and then realized we had a lot more to offer as far as manual therapy techniques.
More.
So between 2011 and 2017, because this was probably 2 or 3 years in the writing.
I think it was 3 from start to finish,
probably.
To be honest with you, or at least close to it. I remember being down in Florida with my parents with the proof copies.
That's right. Yeah.
And having them look through stuff that they didn't really understand.
Yeah, so we got that as a way of documenting all of our manual therapy techniques, all the bodywork stuff that we were doing to complement all of the movement therapy things. Right. And then we started really going at teaching that from 2017 to 2020, right? When we got late 2020 was when we got shut down there for a while.
You know, the thing is here, as we made this move through this, I think Alex and I both, the feedback that we were getting from students, the thoughts that they were throwing at us, the way they were using it, the things that maybe were missing or we weren't understanding that we had sort of left out, it didn't really culminate until every single class Alex and I talked about how to make this better, or is this the class, is this not working, do we need to change how do we incorporate, and so much of that is in this little speck of work. This isn't even close to everything that we did. This was
this is just the last year or so of 6 months maybe of the editing that we went through.
6 months. And that got us into this, which is our trilogy. And really, I think in a sense of, while not perfect, it is as close to perfecting all of this that came before it and adding so much more that was missing from this original, or this evolution of our
this is the book
teaching,
that I feel like we sat down back in 2007 to really write as we started teaching, and we started to see it wasn't just the techniques. I feel, we made this as an encyclopedia of techniques, like these are the things we do, with some introduction to framework, why we're doing and how we're doing it, but we realized there was so much more to the framework. And I remember when I first started teaching, it was sort of my goal was to make sure students understood the material, that they passed, that they could move on to the next class. And as I started teaching longer, and especially as we started really teaching CE classes, and we started to work with people who had already graduated, who had some skill that needed refinement.
Yeah.
We started to really realize there was a much deeper framework of mindset, of philosophy involved in the work that we're doing. It wasn't the techniques, it was how you approach another human being on a table in this kind of setting. And I feel like that's a lot of what wound its way into the expanded introduction chapters in the second edition.
Yeah, why we're doing it this way. How it matters in the way that you do it. And maybe in a sense of not just the introduction, and maybe not just the incorporation of everything that came before, but a much better organization of this information so that, I hate to steal the word since we're calling it, but this is integrated in a fashion for you to digest or for you to approach or for us to teach it, even in a sense of making more sense of why we're doing what we're doing and trying to help you all. I mean, at least have the opportunity to understand it. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's pretty wild to sit and think about that sort of evolution in a way of, I'm always talking about the 10,000 hours and the 10,000 hours. And really, it's so much more than that. But it really took the writing, the teaching, the feed. It took all these things for us. And what it took mostly, Alex, was our proofreaders. Our tireless, and no matter how many times we thank them, thankless proofreaders for stepping in and giving us so much perspective on how to better deliver the information.
Yes,
right?
There was a lot. It wasn't just grammar, spelling, punctuation, though there was a lot of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's so much of this was... you know, like who are you writing this for? What level of experience do they have? Like there was all these deeper questions about where we really needed to clarify. You know, where is our aim in all of this stuff, and how are people using this? How have people been using it?
Right.
How did we think people would be using it, and then how people are actually using it?
Right. And these proofreaders, again, I think Alex just alluded to it, but everybody, the half a dozen, maybe 10 people that we got looking at this for us in that way, all with bodywork experience, all with, you know, a high level of education for all the spelling mistakes, for all those little things, but really understanding at least what the gap between...
They know this work.
They
understand what integrative bodywork is about.
And they've spent so much time with the body themselves that I think even... I mean, there are several suggestions that came through, and Alex and I would email each other, and I would be really like in big old caps, like, this is effing brilliant. Thank God somebody said this.
Yes. So many gaps that were potentially there have been filled because somebody thought, hey, why haven't you said anything about this? What about the symbol, the Integration Nation symbol, which, by the way, now we have a symbol to go along with all of our stuff. So Jonathan, what makes the second edition so special?
I'm so glad you asked, Alex.
Well, I just read it off the board.
Cool. I'm so glad. You know, I'm going to throw it back to you, Alex. What do you think in terms of maybe why is this important, or what's new, or why would we even be asking you to take a look at this?
Well, Jonathan, let me tell you, because, you know, I've been doing some thinking about this in the last half an hour.
I know you have, buddy. I know you have.
What we did, as we saw, these are the manual therapy techniques that we have, the encyclopedia of that, with some basic introductions about what the whole philosophy of integrative bodywork is. This is all the movement therapy techniques, so all the PIR, all the exercising type stuff, which we renamed it. We talked about less about exercising, more about re-engagement, because that's really what it's about. So much of what we have seen and experienced since then. So what we did is we reviewed, I mean, in all of these three, we reviewed every single word, right?
Every word.
I mean, multiple times, sometimes, back and forth emails, like, reword this, reword that. You know what? I like this, but take this out. There's so much of that where we have. One of the goals for this was to have all the movement and manual therapy techniques for a single region in one spot, so readers didn't have to go searching through this book to find the
Yes.
quadriceps manual therapy stuff,
Yeah.
and then searching through this book to find the quadriceps PIR type stuff.
Yeah, the movement therapy.
So now it's all
Together.
in that volume
Yes.
in one, 10, 15 page
One
spread,
place.
one place.
Yep.
So that was a huge important piece about why
Yeah.
we wanted to throw all this together.
Yep.
Plus this, we wrote this back in 2007 to 2011. There's a lot we've learned since then.
A ton we've learned.
And even since 2017,
Yep,
there's
that's
stuff we
another
learned.
thing.
So there's just, as soon as we started reading through all of our original writings for this, we just
Yeah.
realized,
Yeah.
this book really, really got almost completely rewritten and
Right.
picked apart
Yep.
to incorporate it into here. And so
Yeah.
many times we look through techniques and we're like, you know what, we really need to clarify this
Yep.
element of it, another
Yep.
element of it.
Right.
And you know what, I've been doing all this other rib cage work.
Yeah,
And you know
yeah.
what, Alex? So have I.
Yeah.
So, like we would sometimes write techniques that were like, it was the same basic thing. And then we had to kind of sift through that and
Yes.
clarify. But there's a lot of new techniques. In addition to, oh my gosh, and so many new drawings. You spent most of the pandemic shut down.
Yeah. It's just
Drawing.
another 10,000 hours in my brain. Of
Yes.
this. But yeah, I guess if I had to sort of bottom line for it, even though I don't think it's really quantifiable, and maybe that's what Alex and I are saying to you, and I'm willing to admit that we're probably too close to it to even quantify it, but I think there's probably between this and this 40% absolutely brand new material, techniques, photos, drawings, diagrams, everything brand new to support the information. And I'm probably a tad biased, but the other 60% of what's here was gone through and again expanded upon or rewritten or made to be more clear and concise. And so that's why I think we are having a tough time quantifying that these are brand new, but I might call them a reboot in today's world of what our story and our approach is the same. We just made it, so much better, folks, so much better.
Yeah, I feel like the introduction alone probably has about 30 to 40% new information.
I think more than that. But
expanded on stuff that was originally there even.
Yeah.
So, I would agree. Probably 30, 40% new.
It's got to be. Again, in terms of even thinking about just that organization process was always spurring new ideas. And hey, here's how we're going to bridge the gap even between these two places of this textbook, that textbook. And really, again, how do we get into this much closer place of what we're trying to convey by integrating it better for your brains and for your palates and for this to be able to seem more together. So we're super happy. And you may have noticed...
What's that? What's that, Jonathan? ISMT?
Yes. Well, we promised you there's not going to be a third edition of these. We're not going to do that. We know both as instructors and as students what it means to really have something worth putting out, not just slapping a new label on it. But there will be one more in the series of textbooks that's going to help support these as well in your approach. And we've already started working on that. I'm not going to give you a date right now because we have more announcements coming your way and more things happening in the next 6 to 18 months for you all. But there's one more coming.
Yeah.
There's one more coming.
Yeah.
So
I think that'll really pull all of our philosophy approach, all of it together.
Yep.
So excited for it.
I know, me too.
Really
actually, even sitting down,
really
and
am.
writing,
Like I don't have like where
I was a little exhausted at the end of this, but then as I started looking at what was next and sitting down and trying to organize, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be good too. So
I think the question we really need to ask is how many more hours in a day do we need to make all of our dreams happen with this stuff? I'm thinking
that's
24.
The next podcast.
24.
How many more hours in a day do we need to make our dreams come true?
Another 24.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
And then another 8 for sleep.
Sleep.
I'm going to have to think more about this.
Yes. We'll get back to you with it. But in the meantime, our books are going to be available through Amazon. There'll be links on the website for that. So integrationnationbodywork.com. Of course, we'll be selling these again at our workshops.
Yes.
Our previous announcement, we've got one in the works. And we're going to make another announcement about what's coming up for future classes and workshops. And we are also presently beginning to work to create online content for you to be attending in class and workshops and get your CE credits that way too. So lots of exciting stuff. I think I said it, but in case I didn't, integrationnationbodywork.com. I think that's our show.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.